Right now it's 6, an alert day in the forecast for rain, snow, and wind. All the details coming up.
Plus, new information about a child hit by a semi. What authorities say happened.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now this morning. I'm Kyrie Unley.
I'm Chris Stanford. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Jacob Montesano at the desk this morning. Oh, all that nice weather. It's just Mother Nature's like, enough of it. We're going to just shake things up and throw a whole bunch. They're throwing everything at us today.
Yeah, unfortunately, the nice streak of when I fill in for this show is coming to an end. But yeah, rain, snow, maybe even some severe weather.
Oh, goodness.
We'll see. Take a look at this. We've been keeping an eye on Sioux City, Iowa this morning.
That's right. They're seeing a storm now that's making up its way to Wisconsin, of course.
Yes, this is where we have those thunderstorms and the snow mixing together, and it's all headed our way. Jacob, let's track this thing out.
Yeah, it looks like that first round of precipitation might enter our area pretty soon, at least parts of the area. Looking just to the southwest of our area, we have a line of storms kind of moving to the northeast very quickly, I should point out. So for those of you in Grant County, you may see this within the next, or probably not within the next hour, but probably in about an hour if this continues to push off to the north and east. Notice there are a few lightning strikes with that. But as far as the advisories and warnings right now, there is a winter weather advisory for Juneau and Adams County for the snow later today. That's from noon to 10 p.m. Winter storm warnings and blizzard warnings to the northwest of that. We also have a wind advisory in effect for much of our area. This will start at 7 p.m. later today. It will still be windy during the day, but it's going to be even stronger once we get to the overnight hours. The wind advisory lasts until 7 a.m. Thursday. So as we time out this rainfall, we're going to continue to see more showers push into the southwestern portion of the state. They'll be more consistent by the time we get to around 9 to 10 a.m. and they'll continue to spread out through the rest of our area. So I'll continue talking more in detail about this and show you when we'll finally see that snowfall. Looks like it'll be a little bit later in the evening. I'll have more details though coming up a little bit later.
Jacob, thank you. Now to our top stories this morning. An investigation continues after a crash killed a child in Jefferson County.
Yeah, the Wisconsin State Patrol says that child died Monday morning when they were struck by a semi-truck. It happened along I-94 in Jefferson County. Authorities say a passenger car left the road, stopped in a ditch. That's when officials say the child entered the road and was hit by the semi. The crash is still under investigation.
In other news this morning, a Belleville Village Board trustee is facing criticism for her comments about the disabled community. Maxine Ward questioned letting special education programs continue in Belleville schools and called students with disabilities, quote, special eds. It happened during a Village Board meeting earlier this month. Now, families are standing together to speak out for differently abled people in the community.
Disabled people deserve to take up space. They deserve to be in our community and not hidden away. And they deserve to be enjoyed and loved on.
Trustee Ward apologized for her comments. She and the Village Board declined to give further comment.
Well, Madison's interim police chief sharing some top priorities after a month on the job. John Patterson says mental health and overdose prevention remain key for the department. We also asked if Patterson's interested in permanently being chief. He says it's something he's considering as the process moves forward.
The remaining classified files related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy are now available to the public. Many of the documents released are without the redactions. This follows an executive order from President Donald Trump. The FBI says it discovered about 2,400 new records in February related to the 1963 killing of JFK. And the Trump administration plans to cut the EPA's Office of Research and Development. That office provides scientific expertise for federal environmental regulations and disaster cleanup. White House documents say more than 1,000 employees could be fired. That's 75% of the staff. Staffers say the EPA documents discuss reassigning remaining employees to other parts of the agency.
6:05, Hulk Hogan is making his way through Wisconsin. It's part of his Real American Beer Tour. Take a look at the lines stretching to the back of a Beaver Dam Quick Trip yesterday in hopes to meet Hogan. And you know what? Hogan spent a couple of hours signing hats and packs of beer. It's all to promote the relatively new brand, which launched last June. Madison brewer Garth Byers says the product has some care put into it.
They know what they're doing. They've done this for copious amounts of other brands, other celebrities, etc., and they're good at making good beer.
Real American Beer is currently brewed in a couple of Wisconsin breweries, the one in Stevens Point and La Crosse. Hogan's Real American Beer Tour continues today with stops in southeastern Wisconsin. Meanwhile, many Americans are cutting back on snacks, but not for health reasons. 42% of consumers say that higher prices are causing them to buy less chips, crackers, and cakes. That's according to market research firm NIQ. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports snack prices have risen more than most other grocery store products.
We're in the middle of Women's History Month, and today we're highlighting one of Madison's own. If you've been by Park Street on Madison's South Side, you may have seen murals. These are by Laleta G, a local women's advocate and most recently an artist. She wants to use her art to bring positivity to the place she calls home.
I was going through a lot of trauma, and that's when art entered into my life, and I used it as an escape and as a point of healing. And now as an adult, I've returned back to art, and it's still that for me. It's a point of healing and joy, and but now I create it for other people.
You can see G's artwork all throughout the Madison Metro.
You sure can. Gosh, I love her take on how she views art and the power that it has in it. And women like her, I mean, like these, they're the colors. When you drive around, you see these on buildings.
Yes.
It puts a smile on your face.
Very vibrant, and it's just great to see that she got back into her passion as an adult.
I know, right?
Never too late. Never
You're
too
never
late.
too old.
Exactly.
Never too old. Hey, News 3 Now at CBS, you're home for March Madness. So starting tomorrow at 11, that's going to mean some program changes. Let's get you up to date here. If you're not a basketball fan, you'll still be able to find our newscasts streaming on Channel 3000 and Channel 3000 Plus apps, along with our sub-channel, Television Wisconsin 3.2. If you're watching basketball, our newscasts are going to air at special times following each of the games on CBS. The graphic on your screen helps explains where you can find everything and when. We'll also have that available on channel3000.com.
Well, let's check in with Jacob. What's coming up?
Well, we had that alert day for much of the day. We're going to see a little bit of everything: rain, snow, wind, maybe even some severe weather. All the details coming up.
Plus, our Spirit of Service interview week continues this morning when we meet one of our top 5 veterans in the 608.
News 3 Now this morning, moving forward.
6:11, we're back checking out what's going on in the 608 this morning. And this is a special week because we are meeting the finalists in our Spirit of Service campaign.
Our Josh Brighter is here with what's happening now. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Vortex officially narrowed down the 206 nominations for veterans doing something good in the community down to 5, and now we're getting an opportunity to meet each and every one of them this week. All you have to do is click on the Spirit of Service tab on channel3000.com. There you can cast your vote for one of the top 5 veterans. You have this week and next week to support your favorite vet before we name an official winner on Wednesday, April 2nd. That's 2 weeks from today. That's crazy. So that person's going to be taking home $5,000 presented by Vortex. So the rest of this contest is all on you, our News 3 Now viewers. In no particular order, here are the names of our top 5 finalists. They are Megan Nolan, Jerry Carncross, Matthias Carter, Mike Seefeld, and Michael Adams. Again, voting ends on March 30th. I invited each of these veterans in for a 3-minute live interview this week as an opportunity to share their story with you. And coming up in our next half hour, I'll be speaking live with one of our next guests, one of the top 5 veterans, so you'll get to hear from them directly. 2 down, 3 to go, and we're already up to a great start. These stories are just incredible.
Yes.
Just their spirit of giving back, that's what this is all about.
Yes, and we've already heard 2 amazing stories, so this will be hard for the community to pick.
It's
here.
really, really hard. I mean, Stanford, you remember last year, like how many thousands of votes that we had, and it's tough because you want to be able to give the award to all of these guys.
Right. They've all served, and they continue to serve. Every single one of them continues doing amazing things in our communities, and they all deserve this recognition. You know, they deserve the airtime. They deserve to get their story out there. They all deserve $5,000 and so much more. I'm just glad that we're not responsible for picking the winners.
I just get to hand the check over. I don't have to make all the decisions.
Right.
So,
that is the fun part.
Yeah.
And seeing what they do, like one of my favorite parts last year was seeing what they did with that money. And you did the update from last year's winner earlier. And you get to see how that money is being put to use. And they're not keeping it.
They put it right back into the community.
They put it right back into it.
In so many different capacities. I think that's what's so beautiful about it is they're all doing so many different things, and it's things that need to be done, and they're just happy to be doing it.
Yes, I'm excited to see how this year ends up.
Oh, it's going to be great.
All right, Josh, thank you.
You bet.
All right, 30 minutes, stick around. You'll hear from our 3rd finalist. Josh is always looking for inspirational stories to share in the 608. Reach out if you have an idea and let him know about it.
Well, let's check in now with meteorologist Jacob Montesano, who's tracking an alert day today.
Yeah, a little bit of everything as we've been talking about all morning. Rain, snow, and wind, possibly even some severe weather. This is going to continue through the overnight hours. And alert day conditions are just about beginning. Still dry across southern Wisconsin, but just to the southwest of our area, we do have this cell that continues to push towards southwestern Wisconsin. A little bit of a hail core in there, minor one, I should point out. And there also are a few lightning strikes recognized on the radar. So again, those of you in the Grant County could see this storm move in the next hour or two, possibly within the next hour, as the storm is moving very quickly. Now, looking at the severe weather outlook for today, there is a marginal risk. I am skeptical on the strength of these storms, though, just because temperatures are on the cooler side, and they will be throughout the day. This slight risk, though, temperatures will be in the 50s to possibly 60s across Illinois, which is why the further south you are, the better chance you will see that severe weather. And if we do see those strong storms, there's a small risk of just about all of the hazards, including an isolated tornado. That'll mainly be for places south of Madison, but still not out of the realm of possibilities. Some wind and some hail are also possible within these storms as well. Taking a look at future track, the storms will continue to push through or push into southwestern Wisconsin by around 9 to 10 a.m. and they'll continue to spread out across our area. Scattered showers and storms are expected for much of the day, although each individual location may see some breaks in the rain during the day. But as we get towards the evening, this is where things get interesting. There is a line of storms that could be severe to the south of Madison, and this is also going to be around the time when that rain transitions to snow. So this is 5 p.m. By around 6 p.m., a lot of Dane County looks to see that rain transition to snow, and then by 7 p.m., all of Dane County will see it. And then as we get closer to 8 p.m., areas east of Dane County will see that rain transition to snow. And during the early overnight hours, we're going to continue to see scattered snow showers, but it also is possible that some areas don't see much snow during this time because the precipitation will be very broken up, as you can see. But we're going to continue to see some snow activity as we head closer to midnight. Even as late as around 3 to 4 a.m., we could see some light snow showers. And then by sunrise Thursday, it will all clear out. But looking at the accumulation forecast, we could see about 1 to 4 inches simply because that rain to snow transition will likely occur when the precipitation is heavy. So we could see some heavy snow accumulation initially and maybe some lighter snow accumulation as the snow showers are expected to continue. But 1 to 4 inches definitely in the realm of possibilities for much of the area. A lot more as you head further northwest towards La Crosse. But we also are going to see just plenty of just regular rainfall. The rainfall accumulation shows about a full inch, if not more, for a good chunk of our area. So we're going to continue to see some much needed rain. And there's another good chance of rain a little bit later in the 10-day forecast.
All right, Jacob, there's so much going on, and if folks at home want to stay ahead of it, all you have to do is download the free First Warn Weather app. You can track those storms and the snow right in the palm of your hand.
It's 6:17 now, and if you're still looking to file your taxes, be mindful because Wisconsin's Better Business Bureau is warning taxpayers of what it calls ghost tax preparers.
Ghost tax preparers are someone who isn't certified but still prepares tax returns. When it's submitted to the IRS, they ask the taxpayer to sign it, making it look like it was self-filed, meaning when something goes wrong, you are held accountable for the ghost preparer's mistakes. The BBB offers 6 tips to avoid becoming a victim.
1, be wary of people offering quick refunds or large returns.
2, don't sign your own tax return if a tax preparer asks you to.
3, review your tax return. And 4, only allow funds to be deposited into your personal accounts.
You also want to check the Better Business Bureau's website for complaints and reviews on tax services in your area. And finally, always remember to report the incident.
There is less than 1 month until taxes are due. You have until April 15th to file 2024 tax returns, pay taxes owed, or request an extension. According to the IRS, 61.4 million tax returns have been received, and more than 60.7 million have already been processed. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger says if you want to hold on to more money during the year, you can make changes for next tax season.
So if you get a big refund, one nice thing to do would be, hey, let me change my withholding. Let me hold on to my money during the year. You might be the most patriotic person in the world. Keep your money.
Schlesinger says it's a good idea to file as soon as possible, even if you owe money. Last month, the Trump administration laid off about 7,000 IRS employees. Filing electronically and using direct deposit can help avoid any delays. The average refund is nearly $3,300, and that's up slightly from last year.
Those two astronauts that were stranded in space are finally back home. The pair took off after the 286-day extended trip in space for a 17-hour flight back to Earth. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams spent over 9 months on the International Space Station for a trip that was only supposed to last 8 days. Yesterday, the Starliner astronauts splashed down off the coast of Florida. Now they'll undergo some medical evaluations and quarantine as they get used to life back on Earth.
There might be some nausea, some dizziness, some vertigo, and your bones and your muscles are getting used to that loading as you stand up and walk around.
In all, the duo orbited the Earth more than 4,500 times and traveled about 121 million miles.
An investigation is underway following a 720-acre fire. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources says the fire started yesterday at the White River Marsh State Wildlife Area. This is a property that spans 12,000 acres. Take a look at this image here. This picture of the fire taken from a plane. 2 homes were evacuated and 6 other structures were threatened by the fire. The Green Lake County fire crew responded with the DNR. No injuries were reported, and the DNR says there wasn't an approved prescribed burn in the area when the fire started. But still ahead, the Creative Way deputies rescued 3 deer that fell through the ice, and where you could soon see AI at the drive-thru.
Coming up in our next half hour, the possible consequences for local police if sheriffs don't help out with federal immigration enforcement.
Back at 6:24, this photo from Sherry Lee this morning. Take a look at that beautiful sky. Always looking to share your morning with us, so keep sending in those photos. Sherry, thank you.
Well, hey, trending this morning, a deer rescue caught on camera. This is some really wild video. It's drone video from Green Lake, Wisconsin. You see a doe and a couple of fawns fell through the ice, some really thin ice, and they are way out there. So a detective with the sheriff's office used a drone to kind of shoo the animals toward the shore. They were so far out, and yeah, that ice was so thin, so they couldn't like get in a boat and get out there. The deer are scared of humans, right? Not so much for a drone. So they ended up getting those deer back onto shore within about an hour. I thought that was really cool.
The deers were okay, right? As far as you're
deers are
concerned?
fine. A little chilly.
Awesome.
A little chilly probably, but
They're living.
probably
They're living.
just a little. I'm sure they're fine.
They'll probably never walk out on the ice again.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Yum Brands, you know, the big owner of places like KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. Well, they say they plan to use AI tech in restaurant drive-thrus where it'll adapt to human speech patterns and understand menus. Yum Brands says it's already piloted the technology at a handful of Taco Bell and Pizza Hut locations in the U.S. You might have experienced one of these, actually. There's a Taco Bell on Deming Way in Middleton that has AI at the drive-thru. Hundreds more are expected to roll out this spring. I've never experienced one of these.
I haven't either.
I've experienced the AI in a drive-thru back in Missouri. It's very weird. It's very robotic. But it kind of tricks you, though, because they can respond as a human.
Did it do a good job?
Yeah, got everything
As
right.
long as they get it right.
The chicken made me sick as a dog, though. So.
Oh, no.
That's a different story.
Yes, it is.
Here's a final 10-day look at your forecast. After today's alert day, sunny but windy Thursday. Winds will get better throughout the day Thursday. Mild Friday, cooler over the weekend with another chance of rain coming Sunday.
Not where I thought that story was going.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, we'll track today's storms after this. This morning, a change to Social Security. Why the Trump administration is making it harder for people to get their benefits.
Plus, an immigration bill is making its way through the state capitol, how it could change the way local law enforcement operate.
And we have an alert day in the forecast for rain, snow, and wind of the full forecast coming up.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning on a Wednesday. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrian Lee. Thanks for waking up with us this morning. It's an alert day, as we mentioned, but we're really getting closer to that time frame of it, reaching Wisconsin.
That's right. Jacob was saying that the storms are about maybe an hour away from parts of the viewing area. We're also keeping our eye on Sioux City, Iowa this morning. You see the camera shaking around there in the wind. You might be able to make out the snow blowing around in those street lights. This is the system that is headed our way, and those severe thunderstorms and that snow system coming to a head and pushing towards the viewing area just as our First Warn Weather team drew it up. Jacob's here this morning to lay it all out for us. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Chris, and like you mentioned, there is that storm that could be impacting southwestern Wisconsin within the next hour. This storm is actually moving very quickly. It does have a little bit of a hail core in it. No severe thunderstorm warning with it, but there are a few lightning strikes, and there clearly is a pocket of some pretty heavy rainfall. It looks like it may miss Platteville to the west, but definitely areas around Platteville should be aware that this little cell is heading towards your area. But this cell is not obviously the full story. We're going to see plenty other showers and storms move through the area, especially once we get to that 9 to 10 a.m. range. And we're going to continue to see scattered rain showers throughout the day, although there may be a few breaks in the rain for individual locations. Snow will stay off to the north and west until we get towards those later afternoon and evening hours. And looking at the winter weather bulletins, winter weather advisory for Juneau and Adams County. No advisory in southern Wisconsin, but I do expect to see some snow, possibly even some accumulation. And everyone will see very strong winds on top of that, with a wind advisory from 7 p.m. this evening to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll talk more in detail about all of this, though, coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. You can stay ahead of the storms, folks, with the free First Warn Weather app. You can get it wherever you get your apps. All right, now to some new rules that could make it harder for some people with Social Security benefits to collect those benefits. The Trump administration says it's to stop fraud.
One rule starting March 29th bars beneficiaries from changing their bank account information by phone. Online services will still be available, but of course many people who collect Social Security benefits are seniors. Another rule starting March 31st requires people who can't prove their identity online to visit a field office.
Those changes come as the agency is closing some field offices. It's part of a plan to cut the Social Security workforce by about 12%. The agency says nearly 2,500 workers, though, have signed up to receive up to $25,000 through a voluntary separation incentive. 7,000 positions are on the chopping block.
Happening today, Oregon residents can learn more about their city's operational referendum. The meeting is tonight at 6:30 at the Oregon Area Senior Center. Residents can also attend virtually. Village officials say they have identified a need for additional funding to maintain their quality of services.
A bill working through the state capitol right now would impose penalties on sheriffs who don't help with federal immigration enforcement. This could impact places like Dane County that receive money from state government. That money is to help run municipal services. Now, if this bill were to be enacted, a sheriff would be required to check immigration status if a person was arrested on a felony charge. For a sheriff like Dane County's Calvin Barrett, he could refuse to check immigration status, but it would put Dane County at risk of losing crucial state funding. Democrats are pushing back on all of this, while Republicans are taking cues from the Trump administration.
This bill chips away at local control and forces officers to report the mere suspicion of immigration status. If this bill were enacted, the police would lose the trust of their communities as soon as they notify ICE.
As a former law enforcement officer, I've seen firsthand how important it is to keep dangerous individuals off the street. This bill ensures that we take every opportunity to hold individuals who threaten public safety pending federal action.
The bill faces almost certain veto from Governor Evers, but it does bring up an important discussion about local funding as lawmakers debate the next budget.
The suspect in a State Street stabbing is in custody and undergoing additional evaluations. Madison police say they will release the suspect's name and charges after they are booked at the Dane County Jail. The stabbing happened Saturday morning. Police say two people got in a fight. One pulled out a sharp object and stabbed the other. Officers later found a box cutter on the scene. The victim is expected to recover from their injuries.
Madison Metro Schools set to increase staffing for the next school year. The district says that it anticipates an increase of about 8 full-time equivalents. 56 full-time equivalents have been restored since the start of the allocation process in February. The district says it's to keep up with growth. The district's middle and elementary schools are growing. They're up more than 200 students. High schools, though, are projected to have 233 fewer students.
The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is warning people about scammers calling in a new jury duty scam. These scammers claim you missed jury duty and then ask for credit card information to pay a citation. The Sheriff's Office says they would never call from a random number about jury duty. So if you get a suspicious call and you are unsure about it, please call Columbia County Dispatch.
Our News 3 Now team is on the road to Denver to cover March Madness. Badger coverage in Denver starts today. Our Armand Rahman and sports director Zach Hanley are in Colorado as the Badgers are getting ready to take on the Grizzlies tomorrow. Also tomorrow, the Badger women's hockey team will play in the Frozen Four. News 3 Now's Andrew Banstra is in Minneapolis covering that.
And remember, News 3 Now and CBS is your home for March Madness starting tomorrow at 11. That will mean some programming changes. If you're not a basketball fan, you will still be able to find your favorite News 3 Now newscast, always streaming on our Channel 3000 and Channel 3000 Plus apps, along with our sub-channel, Television Wisconsin 3.2. If you will be watching basketball, our newscast will air in special times following the March Madness games on CBS. The graphic on your screen explains where you can find what newscast and when. We will also have that available on our website, channel3000.com.
Well, just in this morning, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he plans to speak with President Trump today. It comes after Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin. In that call, Putin agreed to immediately pause strikes against energy infrastructure in Ukraine. The Trump administration says that more talks will come this weekend. Since that call, though, there have been explosions in the sky over Ukraine's capital.
Thousands of Israelis gathered in Tel Aviv to protest their government's decision to resume attacks on Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the strikes after Hamas rejected proposals to extend a ceasefire. Health authorities in Gaza say Israel's strikes killed more than 400 Palestinians. Netanyahu says it's just the beginning. Hamas still holds 59 hostages.
Well, a rare celestial event is underway. You might be able to see it this morning if the clouds cooperate. So from now through Friday, the planet Venus will be visible in both the morning and evening skies in the northern hemisphere. It happens a few days before the planet passes between the Earth and Sun, and it won't happen again until 2033. So you'll find Venus slightly above the Sun after sunset and before sunrise, and you won't need any special equipment to see it. Venus is very bright because it's closer to the Sun.
All right, so very cool. Something always cool happening out there in outer space. So, you know, take the time to look up there. Maybe people will get some cool pictures too.
Yeah, if you do, send them our way. We'll show them on the air.
Well, let's check in with Jacob. What's coming up?
Yeah, we have that alert day for much of the day, a little bit of everything, but I'll talk through the entire forecast and the timing of it coming up.
Plus, our Spirit of Service interview week continues this morning when we meet one of our top 5 veterans in the 608.
We're back at 641. Checking in on the weather system that is headed our way, where the thunderstorms and the snow are mixing. Here in Sioux City, Iowa, it's mainly snow that we've been watching. And you see how strong those winds are? You see the snow blowing there in the street lights and how shaky the camera is. And yeah, this is what's headed our way.
Yeah, so let's check in now with meteorologist Jacob Montesano, who's here now to get us all up to date. Jacob, when can we expect this?
Well, for those of you tuning in from Grant County, it looks like you can expect this within the next 30 minutes, at least this first round of a potential thunderstorm. This small isolated storm is moving very quickly towards our area, and it does look like it's heading right near Platteville, maybe just to the west of Platteville. There is a little bit of a hail core within this system, and obviously plenty of rainfall in a small space, and there are a few lightning strikes with it as well. Now, obviously, the story goes beyond just this storm. We are expecting the chance of severe weather for the late morning through the afternoon hours. Marginal risk, slight risk to the south of us, and the big reason that the severe weather will be stronger south is because it will be a lot warmer. Highs here in southern Wisconsin will only reach about 40. But if we do see these storms, there's a small risk of some severe level wind and hail, and we cannot rule out an isolated tornado. The tornado risk, though, mostly for areas south of Madison. Those of you off to the north, pretty much a 0% chance of that. Now, as we take a look at the timing of all this, more consistent rain will move in around that 9 to 10 a.m. range and continue to move through the rest of our viewing area. And we'll continue to see scattered showers really during the entire afternoon with a few breaks here and there. But there will be rain for at least parts of the area pretty much the entire afternoon hours. Now, as we get towards the later afternoon, notice off to the northwest, that rain snow line will continue to push to the south and east. And as we get towards around 5 p.m., this is where things get interesting. There is expected to be a line of potentially heavy precipitation. Could be some severe weather, especially south of Madison. And this is also going to be when that rain transitions to snow. So by the time we get to 6 p.m., a lot of Dane County will be seeing snow, potentially all of Dane County. Still seeing some rain to the south and east of Madison. But once we get to around 7 to 8 p.m., then we will see all snowfall. And then we're going to only see snow for the rest of the night. But once we do see the rain transition to snow, notice it's going to be very broken up. So some areas may not see quite as much snow, especially for areas south and east. But the chance of snow is expected to continue during those overnight hours into very early early Thursday morning, but that will likely be before sunrise. Once we get to sunrise Thursday, it will have cleared out. So the accumulating forecast shows about 1 to 4 inches for just about everybody. Could see some totals a little bit higher if that rain transitions to snow earlier, and if it transitions when there is heavy precipitation falling. There will be a little bit more snow as you get closer to La Crosse. And looking simply at the rainfall accumulation forecast, we'll see about a ½ inch to a full inch for everybody. Places south of Madison, though, could see a little bit more than an inch of rainfall. Now, on top of all this, we're going to be very windy. Gusts will be up to 30 to 35 miles per hour throughout the entire day, even stronger for the evening hours into the overnight hours, as we'll see gusts up to 40 to 45 miles per hour. And that's going to continue through Thursday morning. Now, at this point Thursday, the precipitation will be cleared out, but it's still going to be windy. However, the winds will improve throughout the day. By Thursday evening, they will be a lot calmer.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Well, in the 608 this morning, we're meeting the finalists for Spirit of Service all this week. And joining us this morning is Michael Adams, one of our top 5 veterans. Michael, thanks for joining us on News 3 Now. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Josh.
This has to feel pretty amazing to be named a finalist for Spirit of Service.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, when my buddies told me that they nominated me, I was like, all right, cool. Like, this is awesome. I didn't expect to hear anything back. And when I got the email, I was blown away. I had to tell my friends, call everybody, and it's incredible.
Well, hey, it's a great honor, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Talk about where you all started and kind of where you got to where you are right now.
Well, growing up, I've always part of, community service is always a big part of, who I was ever since I was young, 12 years old, joining Civil Air Patrol, being involved in my community that way. And then I enlisted in the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old, went to boot camp in 2016. And after I got out of the Marines, just before COVID hit in 2020, I still had that calling for service. And once I finally got my real estate license and started working, being on the team that I am, it gave me the platform to be able to do more in the community, whether it's for veterans, foster and adopted kids, or really anything going on in the community. It gave me that platform to be able to do that.
So why do you continue to give back all these years later?
A big part, I'd always say is we're all kind of in this together. We're all trying to live our lives. And if there's anything I can do to help anybody to make their life a little bit better, to make them, get through life a little bit easier, I'm all for it. Like I said, we're all in this together. We got to be kind to one another. And if I can show a little bit of kindness to somebody by helping them out, let's do it.
One of the unique stories or things that I saw in your story was the 30 days for 30 vets. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. That was an initiative that kind of started at my job with the Bremer team, Keller Williams Success, where one of our local partners met with us and brought up to my team leader and said, "Hey, I want to give away a roof to a free roof to a veteran." My team leader came up to me and we're like, "Hey, let's blow this up." So we sat in our office and we dialed for dollars, as we call it, for about an hour and a half, and we raised about $250,000 in committed donations for veterans. So back in November of 2024, we started to notify the 30 veterans that they had won. So veterans won roofs, siding repair, ACs, furnaces, and then along with that, another one of our business partners locally made a wooden flag for all of the veterans with a green stripe, a thin green line, and presenting that to all the veterans was one of the most meaningful experiences of my life, because handing them this wooden flag, they didn't care that they just got a roof or an AC. I mean, they did, but seeing them tear up, get choked up for a wooden flag, that's what this is all about. That's, this is why they joined for America, for that flag and things like that. And that to me is what, I hold nearly and dear to my heart.
What a special moment. All right, we got about 20 seconds. What would you plan to do if you were to win the $5,000?
I'm not gonna lie, I got a couple bills I gotta pay off, catch up on, but I want to put some of that money back into 30 days for 30 vets, because if I can use that money to help one veteran, great. If I can use it to help 2 or 3, even better.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations, and thanks for your service, Michael. We appreciate it. Guys, we'll send it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Josh. Got an inspirational story you'd like Josh to cover? Send him a message, and it'll probably wind up on the air. A lot of his stories get featured in the 608, and he'd love to hear from you. All right, in consumer news this morning, 4 Lean Cuisine and Stouffer's frozen meals have been recalled. It's because some batches may contain a wood-like material. Parent company Nestle said it's cooperating with the USDA and the FDA to investigate the source. Customers who have these in their freezers should not eat them. Instead, the products can be returned to the store for a full refund or replacement. The company says no other frozen meals are affected.
And Frontier Airlines is offering a free checked bag on certain flights this summer. In a statement, Frontier CEO says this can be considered the ultimate divorce your old airline deal. This comes after Southwest Airlines put an end to its longtime policy of 2 free checked bags. But there is a catch to this all. People who want to take advantage of this deal must book a trip by March 24th. In health news this morning, health professionals say being able to access your health records, including test results on patient portals, is not always a good thing. The 21st Century Cures Act went into effect in 2021. It was designed to give patients easier access to electronic health records. They include cancer screening, blood work, and other important test results. In some cases, people receive life-changing diagnosis before their doctor. This can lead to confusion and sometimes fear. One doctor says doctor-patient conversations are important to get ahead of concerns.
Let me explain some of these results to you beforehand. You know, here's what's happening. If you get 20 results, some of them, just by luck, are going to be outside the range. Don't freak out about that. So try to immunize them, try to educate them. But at the end of the day, you need to be available to those patients. They need, my patients can contact me.
The doctor says doctors can withhold results if they think it will cause physical harm to the patient. Some health apps offer patients the ability to opt out of receiving results. He also strongly recommends patients do not turn to Dr. Google to explain any abnormalities. Said Dr. Google can be very dangerous.
It sure can. The rabbit hole you can fall into.
Yes. Well, coming up in the morning sprint, why back pain is one of the hardest things to treat.
If you got a little kiddo turning 3 soon, send us a picture. We'll show it on TV. The sprint's next. 6:53, time for the morning sprint.
New rules could make it more complicated for some people to collect their Social Security benefits. A rule starting March 29th bars beneficiaries from changing their bank account information by phone. Another rule starting March 31st requires people who can't prove their identity online to visit a field office. Those changes come as the agency is closing some field offices and reducing its workforce. Online services will still be available.
Wisconsin State Patrol investigating a crash that left a child dead. It happened Monday morning on I-94 in Jefferson County. A passenger car traveling east left the road and came to a stop in a ditch. That's when officials say the minor entered the road and was hit by a semi.
An immigration bill making its way through the state capitol would impose penalties on sheriffs who don't help with the federal immigration efforts. This could impact places like Dane County that receive money from state government. If this bill were enacted, a sheriff would be required to check immigration status if a person was arrested on a felony charge.
The interim Madison police chief sharing his top priorities for the job. John Patterson says mental health and overdose prevention remain key for the department. We also asked Patterson if he's open to being chief permanently. He says it's something he's considering as the process moves forward.
News 3 Now on CBS is your home for March Madness. That will mean some programming changes. You will still be able to find your favorite News 3 Now newscast always streaming on our Channel 3000 and Channel 3000 Plus apps, along with our subchannel Television Wisconsin 3.2. If you'll be watching basketball, our newscast will air in special times following the March Madness games on CBS. This is also on our website, channel3000.com.
Back pain is one of the hardest ailments to treat. That's according to a new study in the British Medical Journal that found only 1 in 10 common non-surgical, non-invasive treatments for lower back pain actually works. Non-surgical treatments include acupuncture, spinal manipulation, massage, and opioids. Researchers say with so many options, it's tough for patients to know what's effective.
Just in this morning, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he plans to speak with President Trump today. This after Trump spoke with Russia President Vladimir Putin. In the call, Putin agreed to immediately pause strikes against energy infrastructure. In Ukraine, Trump administration officials say more talks will come this weekend. Since the call, there have been explosions in the sky over Kyiv.
And that cell in southwestern Wisconsin, or at least moving towards southwestern Wisconsin, is just about to enter Grant County just to the west of Dubuque. Notice there is a little bit of a hail core and a few lightning strikes, so those of you in Platteville expect to see this within the next hour. Looking beyond today, though, the next 10 days does show temperatures on the cooler side. It will be mild Friday, but for the most part, we'll see highs in the 40s. Another good chance of rain will come on Sunday. But yeah, today is going to be a pretty messy one. Several chances of some showers and storms, maybe even some severe weather. That storm right now near Grant County could be severe. Notice with that little hail core, and then snow later as the temperatures cool down.
All right, multiple types of weather in one day.
Yep.
All right, Jacob, thank you.
We're back in 30 minutes with the news and weather update.